Hey, what's up, you guys? I am back with another film review. This time, I actually get to finish speaking about 28 years later because I finally finished the film in its entirety. And boy, do I have a lot of thoughts on this film. First of all, I just want to state that I am a 28 Days Later fan, and I had too high of expectations for this film. I do like to get my hopes up. That's a common theme in my life that I still have not learned from. I don't know if this is going to give away my review, but I'm just saying, waiting an entire week to see the second half of the film and was slightly disappointed. Definitely going to get into some spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, stray away from the second half of this video because I'm going to be spoiling a lot of things. Basically, this is a coming of age film. It's really about a young boy, Spike's journey, being a boy one day and then becoming a man and going off on his own. It's just your typical slice of life coming of age story, but you're throwing zombies into it. You're throwing random shit. To me, didn't make a lot of sense, but maybe the next two films will help tie those together. I will say the acting was stellar from most of the actors, especially the leading child actor who played Spike. The actress who played Isla, she was amazing. To learn her character had cancer, I mean, I feel like that's the most plausible explanation that there is. This was the first time that I've seen her work. I really didn't know what it was going to be like going into it, but I was pleasantly surprised. She really nailed the whole confusion thing. I don't know, maybe she did some method acting or something. I will say, I think the cinematography was gorgeous for the most part. There were quite a few scenes that blew me away. Knowing the director, he's very experimental, and I thought, wow, that quality was pretty darn good. If nobody told me about the iPhone thing, I would have just thought it was what everybody else uses, those very expensive cinematic cameras that cost thousands of dollars. You could have fooled me. I would have thought nothing of it. I would have thought it was those. The fact that most of the footage were from iPhone 15s has a new level of respect from me in that regard. Oh, and let's get into the actual look and the practical effects for the infected. Huge step up from the last two films. And I know the last two films were from the early 2000s. So obviously things have progressed technologically in every single way. I feel like the infected felt more beautiful to me. I don't really know the word to describe it, but more artistic. The infected in general in this franchise have evolved a lot because now they have alphas, like they're in these packs, like they're supposed to be wolves or some shit. I don't know, but now that they're so evolved and they have these massive alphas that are just insane and insanely strong. They did a really good job with the makeup and just the overall look of the infected. And there's so many different kinds of infected too. It's not just all one basically uniform look. I mean, they've got different kinds. They've got the really fat ones that are slow moving. They don't exactly remind me of the Last of Us type of zombies, but they definitely look more earthy. Like they're supposed to blend in with the scenery a little bit more, like camouflage in. They just have that color scheme going on with them. And then you have your typical infected. They're a little more traditional looking. They're definitely better looking than the original ones from the other two films. They're just a more evolved version of that. And then you have the alphas who are just completely different ballgame, and they are somehow built like gods. How did they even evolve to this point? They're so vastly different. In the other two films, it was kind of just like everybody has pretty much the same look being an infected. They're so diverse with how they look. So I definitely appreciate that. I think you're going to know what I'm talking about if you see the film. That's all I know. Like that guy from the trailer who everybody thought was Cillian Murphy from the original. Everybody thought was him. Oh, now he's turned into a zombie like all these years later, like he didn't make it. But it's actually some other guy, and I don't remember what his name is. Deathly skinny in this movie, like literally so creepy and grotesque looking. The man was dedicated. That is all I can say. When he actually came on screen, though, honestly, really disappointed in his scene because I thought he would have had a really good scene as an infected, like attacking anything, but he's just like slowly creeping up, like very quietly, like almost not making a sound. Spike just shoots him and he's like screaming. The whole thing lasts maybe like 10 seconds. So it was pretty disappointing because in the trailer they really hyped that one up. So I thought that scene would be more epic. The man didn't even last 10 seconds. I mean, the build up really all for 10 seconds of fame, baby. That's pretty much what I felt like seeing his sequence. Like, damn, they kind of did him dirty low key, but you know what? He chose that. All right. He nailed those 10 seconds. Besides the main character and the mother Isla, I did actually like the doctor, Dr. Kelson. He was very quirky. I mean, we knew that going into it. The man covered himself in iodine. I was wondering before we were introduced to him, why is he orange? My first thought was, okay, he's covered in blood, like he bathes in blood or something. Apparently the virus does not like that. And I love his little morphine arrows. Like, where does he even get the morphine? It seems like he uses these morphine arrows a lot. So, how has he not run out by now? And everybody over here is quarantined. How are you getting drugs? There's so many questions that pop up for his character. I'm like, how are you getting these things? I don't get it. Where did you get this? I feel like his character is kind of magical. Like, he's not, but to me, he seems more like a wizard. But I guess we're going to get more answers from him in the next film. I think the military dude, and I don't even remember his name because he felt that insignificant, more or less a waste of time. He felt more of a throwaway character to me. His ending, though, that was kind of like the cherry on top. I think his little segment, though, was funny because he was trying to tell Spike where he was from and he was showing him his phone and just kind of explaining how the modern world worked. And Spike was like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? What's Amazon? What's a delivery driver? What's the internet? What is that phone? Like, I don't know what that is. That character was more of just maybe not so much as a throwaway, but kind of just introducing like modernized things to the main character. The scene leading up to that character's death, though, but the build up to his demise was like, what is going on? Kind of artsy. Okay, but it kind of introduces an idea of an infected potentially having a more, basically, whenever Isla stumbles upon the train and sees pregnant infected going through labor, and they were able to relate with each other and hold hands for that infected to give birth, that moment was very humanizing. It was very humanizing for the infected. Be at peace, even if it's just for a second. It kind of introduces this level of humility none of the other films have ever had. And I think that idea is really interesting because in 28 weeks later, when they introduced a character who was completely immune to the virus, yet they still passed it. So they were asymptomatic, but they could still give it to other people. I kind of felt an element of that because when the infected woman gave birth to the baby was not infected. The baby was presumably a normal infant, but it poses the question, why is that? Why is that baby not infected? And why did Isla and the infected mother have that special moment? And as soon as that infected was done giving birth and, rested up for a second and she came back to herself, then the rage returned. To me, that poses a lot of interesting questions. And I hope that we get more context into that in the next two films. So another thing that I did like, obviously the costuming, I did like the bone temple, giant skull tree looking shit. The vibe of this movie, and I don't really know if I loved it, but I definitely didn't hate it. Some of the shots reminded me of a video game. Like when they would shoot the infected and it would show it from multiple angles and go in slow motion almost, felt very video game like. I don't think I loved it. I mean, I don't know. It felt a little out of place, but then again, there were a lot of elements to this film that felt out of place. So I can't really say too much about that. It's not something that you really see every day. Now let's get into what I did not like about the film. And boy, there are quite a few things that I do not like. I feel like the second half of the movie really started to go downhill overall, all over the place. The first half of the movie was really solid and it had me on the edge of my seat. And I felt very anxious for the characters, especially every time the infected were on screen. But during the second half, I found myself caring less and less and not feeling on edge or as intense as I did the first half. And I don't know if that's because they didn't show as many infected in the second half. They didn't show it as much because they were more so focusing on showcasing the new characters and the most random characters that you've ever seen in the ending. And I know they're going to pop up in the rest of the films. The new characters that all go by Jimmy for some reason, I'm trying to understand the significance of Jimmy and why he looks so freaking goofy at the end of the movie, so out of place. What are they wearing, bro? Why are they wearing jumpsuits? I hope that one is explained to me in the next film because I was really thrown off by that random and out of place because the rest of the film, it had this tone, but they all had this certain look and feel to them. The switch up at the end with those new characters and the tone just completely shifts. It really threw me off. I'm sure that they're going to be really important in the next film, so we will see where that one goes. But I have a feeling that I'm not going to like them or care about their characters. The military dude, in my opinion, complete throwaway character, could have gone without him. He seemed to be there only for comedic purposes, which maybe that was the intention. Overall, I did enjoy this film, especially the first half. You know, there were quite a few things that I disliked about it. I mean, I'm still going to be watching the next film coming out, so it wasn't enough to turn me completely off of the franchise. I am going to have my critiques. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to be completely honest. Overall, I would say that I rate this film a 6 out of 10. However, I'm still going to recommend you to watch it, especially if you are a 28 Days Later fan. I would recommend to watch it. If you've already seen it, let me know what you think about it in the comments below, or if you're planning to watch it, please let me know because I always like hearing other people's opinions. Thank you guys so much for watching and you have a great night.